Well, this is Bethany from Lightspeed Aviation coming to you from Sun and Fun in Hangar B at booth B52. I have the fantastic Kyle Fowler with me, and I'm going to let him introduce himself to you guys. If you don't already know who he is, I'll let him toot his own horn.
Thank you. Kyle Fowler, Go Easy Aerobatics. Really happy to be here, Sun and Fun. This is my first time in Sun and Fun, and it has been amazing.
Awesome. Well, we were really excited that Kyle was going to be here, and we asked you guys to submit some questions, and so we are just going to kind of rapid fire with some of those, and he's going to share some information with you guys, and hopefully you guys are really excited about it. And if you have more questions, definitely let us know, because we're buds with this guy, so we can talk to him.
I can answer after the fact.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. So I know that one of the questions that was asked was, what's most challenging about building a Long Easy? I know you didn't build yours, but maybe you can speak to that.
Yeah, so I didn't build my Long Easy. My Long Easy was already built, but I've done a lot of work to my Long Easy. I've replaced the engine a couple times. I don't think there's a single wire left in it that was from the original. Pretty much the only thing that's original on my Long Easy is the airframe. A lot of the difficult parts of it is, and it's not even that difficult. It's a process. It's the fiberglass work that goes into it. I've done a little bit. Like I've flipped it over. I've done a mod on my intake to learn about how to do fiberglass. I know just enough to be dangerous now, which is good. But it's not too hard. And the nice thing about fiberglass is that if it's not perfect, you sand it down, you fill it up, and nobody will ever know. So that's the great part about it.
Yeah.
It's just time and effort. It's really not that hard. Anybody can build an airplane.
Yeah, and you recently did a new paint job on the Long Easy.
Yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that at all?
We're really excited. Artcraft Paint just painted my new airplane. I love the design. It's a beautiful airplane. We kept the yellow because the yellow looks really good in the blue sky. And we got something special, but we're not going to release it until Oshkosh.
All right, we're excited about that. So the next question is, what does it take to go into aerobatics full time?
A little bit crazy. I just quit my day job. I'm doing air shows full time, giving it my all. If you have one foot in, you'll never really reach your full potential.
Right.
So I cut all ties and air shows full time now. And all it takes is a little bit of effort, work on it, start building the connections, and going into, air shows is the only way I think to do it feasibly. Right. Do it for a few years, get a little bit of recognition, and pull the trigger and go.
Awesome.
That's what it takes, I guess.
Yeah, well, I mean, every bit of information, like for people that are maybe looking at aviation on the whole of what opportunities there are, looking at you and your story, maybe that will inspire them.
A little bit of inspiration to just push over the edge, maybe.
That's right. Awesome.
And there's a ton of different ways to go into aviation. I mean, there's flying. I mean, I've picked the aerobatics, but there's helicopter, there's fixed wing, there's instruction if you want to be an instructor, or airline. There's so many different avenues to go in on the flying side. And then you could go into regulation with FAA or Transport Canada in Canada, where I'm from, or maintenance. Like, there's so much out there. Mm-hmm. If you've got a passion for something, there's an area in aviation for it. Absolutely.
I totally agree. So when we're looking at equipment that you may need in the Long Easy with aerobatics, like what equipment helps make you feel successful, or what do you think is imperative with your performances?
Well, with my performances for the air show, on the airplane, very, very little. Like, I don't look too much at my instrument panel. I glance down before I pull for a maneuver. But the panel is important on how far you're going to travel. So there's, depending on where you're going to go, there's certain things that make it easier. It all depends on what you want to do with aerobatics. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we're at Lightspeed, so let's talk about Lightspeed for just a second.
I mean, I guess.
No, honestly, like Lightspeed, it made a huge difference for what I do. I used to run with the green bricks. We all know what the green bricks are. And you know what? It got me through when I was a new pilot and I couldn't afford much and working my way up there. But I wish I had got Lightspeed earlier. Mm-hmm. Lighter, you get that ANR going, less fatigue while you're flying. And I had an issue on my airplane once where my engine broke. I had Lightspeeds on at the time, and it was the first time I ever flew with Lightspeeds, just coincidentally, that it was the first time I flew. I was borrowing somebody else's. They're like, hey, why don't you try these? And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll give them a shot and see how they are. And I had the Lightspeed on, and I was like, my engine doesn't sound right, and I couldn't figure it out. I was like, when I land, I'm gonna check on this. And that exact flight, the first time I was flying with Lightspeed, there was something wrong with my engine because my exhaust broke.
Oh.
And what I was hearing, what I thought sounded funny, was just me being able to hear the engine. It got rid of all the background noise so that I could actually tune into my engine and hear it. And it was a lesson learned.
Yeah.
And now I tell everybody that, you know, like, you got to get a good headset. You have to.
Yeah.
And just so that you can hear your engine. And then all the other benefits, like less weight, less fatigue, and I just upgraded to a helmet. I haven't got it yet. I'm really looking forward to it for aerobatics. Again, with the equipment that you need, part of the problem that I have with headsets in general, if I'm pulling for a maneuver and I've got high G and I look up, my headset will sometimes slide off. Most of the times it's pretty good, but we're in Florida, it's a little sweaty. So the cups don't stay where they need to be, so that when it gets really sweaty, then they kind of fall off a little bit. Kind of gross, but that's the reality of it. So the helmet's gonna keep it all in place.
Yeah, that's awesome. We can't wait to see the helmet with the plane. It'll be amazing. So what is the hardest skill or trick that you've done in your aerobatic career?
Learning to fly the long easy aerobatically, I'll say. The long easy, I love the long easy. It's a really good airplane. It's really unique. It looks different, and that's the whole reason why I picked the long easy, is to be different from everybody in the airshow industry. Airshows are all about variety. You know, you've got your jet teams, you've got your unlimited aerobatic guys, wow, 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 like working really hard. And you got your parachuters and the gliders and a little bit of everything, and airshows are all about variety. Sometimes you'll have a jet truck, and I wanted to add to that variety with something that was unique and different. That being said, the long easy wasn't designed for aerobatics. It was designed for cross country.
Yeah.
So the long easy does do aerobatics okay, but you have to respect what the airplane is capable of, and developing an airshow routine for the long easy, that because I've got a surface card, like I fly my aerobatics pretty close to the surface. It's not, you gotta respect what the airplane is capable of, right? So doing aerobatics was okay. Developing an airshow routine for the long easy was a little more difficult, just because it's not designed to fly in that environment. So you have to kind of reverse engineer it from a safety standpoint. Because at the end of the day, I want to go home to my kids. So that really was the most difficult thing that I've done so far, is developing that show for the long easy. Yeah,
well, and that kind of builds into the other question that was asked, which is what makes the long easy so unique in the aerobatic space. So I think you kind of answered that.
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of, sort of. It's a little different. It's but it flies like an airplane, right? Up is up, down is down, left is left, right is right.
Yeah.
And then you just put the show together.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, the last question I have is, what is the first trick that you ever learned?
The first trick I ever learned, and this is something that I would argue is the most dangerous trick, is a roll. And it's the simplest thing. It's the simplest thing. And I'll go into this a little bit. So a roll is nice and simple. It's nice and easy. You kind of, and when you do your first roll, you pitch up and you just stuff the stick and you just wait for the airplane to come back around level again. But when you're learning to do aerobatics, every pilot has flown 90 degrees left to 90 degrees right, so that's familiar. And anything past that, now you're in an unknown area. And what a lot of people do, the mistake that happens is you're doing a roll for your first time, you pitch up, the stick goes over and you start to turn and you get upside down and you're like, oh wow, this is so cool. And you're not paying attention and the stick comes back to neutral and then you stop. And then because you're in an unfamiliar territory, like I said, 90 degrees left to 90 degrees right is familiar, and now you're upside down and you got distracted because it's cool, and now you have stopped and you forget what to do. And what do we all do when we get scared? We pull, right? So now you're going fast and then you pull and you split us out. God. So it's a scary feeling. You can do it, and you can do it safely if you mean to do it. But if you don't mean to do it, you can overspeed your airplane, and you can do damage. So it's usually the first maneuver that you do, but it can also be the most dangerous. So I always tell people ask me all the time, like, hey, I want to go out and do aerobatics in my long easy, or whatever. You know, I've got something that's weird and funky, and I want to do aerobatics in it. How do I do it?
Yeah.
And I say, okay, the first thing you need to do, go to an aerobatic school, get in an extra, get in a PITS, go get in an airplane that you can do that, and the airplane, you can yank and bank and throw that airplane however you want, and you won't hurt it.
Right.
Right? They're designed to do that. Whereas you get into something that's a little bit different, and you can really hurt the plane. So get into something that you can learn, get into a good atmosphere with a good instructor, and then you can move on to being a test pilot in your own airplane.
There you go. There you go. Well, all sorts of fun information and insights from Kyle Fowler.
Thank you.
We love having you here.
I love being here.
Yes, and make sure that you catch him at the show this week and at Oshkosh. We know there's something fun coming, so
it's going to be exciting.
Come to Oshkosh. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much,
we'll see you guys next time.